What's up, comic book fans? And welcome to Comics Icons. Now, JJ, what they call me. And today, we got more Miles Morales as Spider-Man. This time with issue number 23. And if you missed the last issue of this series, then I'll put up a link at the top of the screen and a card at the end of the video for you. But it was at the start of the Blood Hunt event where Miles would end up being bitten by Blade while he was possessed by Varney. But Dr. Strange would cast a spell to at least calm Miles' savage cravings. But he would still remain a vampire even after the Blood Hunt event ended. Although at least for Miles' sake, the rules for the vampires in Marvel have changed and now they're able to walk around during the day with no effects from the sun, which seems pretty convenient. Wouldn't want to turn Miles into a vampire but still only have him out in the streets at night. But if you guys are ready to find out how Miles is able to cope as a friendly neighborhood vampire Spider-Man, then you guys know what time it is. Let's get it. So we kick this issue off with Miles Morales' lady, Tiana Toombs, aka Starling, and the granddaughter of the Vulture, Adrian Toombs. And life's not been too particularly easy on her. A sick mom and a dad that abandoned her. And then, of course, as I said before, her granddad's the freaking Vulture. But she has managed to find some kind of joy in this world, in the love of her life, Miles Morales. And for her, being with Miles is the closest thing that she's got in her life to any type of family or stability. But even with all of the love and support she gets from Miles, she still has some issues with trusting her loved ones. But then we pick up with the Olympic demigod Zip Zephyr, who first debuted in this series back in issue number 17. Him and his enchanted bag of wind. But that wind is terrorizing New York's finest at the moment. That is, at least until Spider-Man enters the chat with both a quip and a kick to the face of Zephyr, sending him flying and crashing into a nearby vehicle and leaving him reaching out for his wind bag, Sakos. But Miles simply webs up the bag and keeps it out of reach of Zephyr. And now an angry Zip Zephyr threatens to spill Miles' blood out here today. But it's just that simple mention of the word blood that activates something within Miles, who starts to operate at a level 10 in this fight, and he can feel himself losing control over his thirst. It's like an itch in his brain telling him to cut loose and make his opponent hurt, to make him suffer and make him bleed. And it takes everything Miles has in him to not sink his teeth into the demigod's neck. So he decides to settle for the next best thing, and he charges up his new max power venom blast that we first saw in his battle with Rabble, right before Blood Hunt began. And he cracks the hell out of the demigod with a shot so hard that even the cops have to shield themselves from the gust of wind that followed. And Miles thinks to himself that it might have been the hardest punch that he'd ever thrown, and he wished that he could say that he knew that the demigod could take it. But honestly, the truth is Miles had no idea, and he was just lucky that it was a demigod, or else it could have gone way bad. And not only that, but now Miles starts to feel drained to the point that he can barely stand, and he knows that something feels off. And the thirst is stronger than before, so he decides to go and clear his head. And he goes to visit Doc Sasquatch. And the Doc, from what he can gather, while admittedly not specializing in mysticism, is that the magic used in Dr. Strange's spell to keep the vampirism effects at bay seem to be burning away by Miles' venom energy, causing those violent outbursts. It's placed Miles in a heightened fight-or-flight mode, and it's possible that using too much of it could end up killing Miles. But the Doc does admit that it's only in theory at this moment, and there could be other options besides Miles never being able to use his venom energy anymore. But he'll have to work on some things on his end before he can be certain. So while the Doc starts working on things from his end, Miles takes off and decides to swing through the city like he always does in messed up situations like this. But he doesn't get very far into his swinging when he hears a mugging going down, as a couple of goons try to snatch a purse using a box cutter. So Miles swings in and starts taking it to these guys, who quickly submit. But Miles refuses to let up, and he continues to beat down these guys to the point that he notices the mugging victim afraid of him now. So he gives her bag back, and he takes off, ashamed of himself. And then he finds himself atop a water tower thinking about his previous lessons of not holding things in and asking for help. So he reaches out to the only other person outside of his family that'll truly accept him. His girlfriend, Tiana, who gives him the okay to come by. And then we pick back up with Tiana as she's listening to some music while cleaning up when she hears a thump on the roof. And at first she thinks that it's Miles, but when there's no response, she decides to shut her window and close her blinds. And as she begins to walk down her hallway, she hears the sound again, and this time, she thinks that if she were a normal teenage girl, she'd hide in a closet and wait for the cops. But that ain't her, and she instead grabs a tranquilizer gun from her drawer and heads outside to check it out. "If you're here to rob me, just know that I put up one hell of a fight," she proclaims as she steps out of the door. But then a voice responds back that she doesn't have to tell him, as she looks up and sees her grandfather, Adrian Toombs, the Vulture. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of the issue. So what did you guys think of this issue and Miles' struggle with his vampire affliction? He's going to have to make some serious adjustments in his life, and quickly. Plus, what do you guys think that the Vulture wants with Tiana? You know, once Miles gets there and sees him, it's about to be up. And more than likely, Miles is going to go overboard on Tiana's grandfather and scare Tiana away. What do you guys think about that theory? And of course, I want to hear what kind of theories you guys got down in the comments. And as always, if you enjoyed this video and this channel, and you'd like to support the channel, then you could do so by stopping by the Comics Icon store and picking up some of this Comics Icons merchandise, including the background music heard right here in this video, available for download. Or by joining the Iconic Fan Club channel membership, and there'll be a link in the description to join. But with your membership, your voice will be heard during our interactive live streams with yours truly, where we could talk about everything that's been going down in these issues, as well as ones that you'd like for me to go over in the future and other comic news. Plus, you guys will get loyalty badges, member shoutouts, and up to 20% off of Comics Icons merchandise from the Comics Icon store. Plus, we've got tiers to the memberships as well, beginning at just 99 cents. Or you guys could donate to the channel with a super thanks. And if you're not able to do any of that, then you can still be a tremendous help to this channel's future by dropping a like, share, and subscribing to Comics Icons for more icons in the comic book world. But ladies and gentlemen, it's about that time. I'm out. Peace.